In today's tutorial, we are going to paint a very simplified streetscapes with some basic simple background shapes and two cars and a little bit of figures and other details. Hi friends, I am VanidasMangathil and let us learn watercolors together. If you are new to my channel or if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and press the bell notification so that you get notified whenever I release new video. So without further ado, let us begin the tutorial. Uh, I'm using cold pressed watercolor paper and the size is approximately A4. Uh, I'm making a very simplified drawing here. The primary focus is on two cars and then we will be adding some objects around it. So if you are not familiar with how to draw these kind of cars, you may check out uh, one of my previous video where I have described the process. Okay. Now behind the car or next to the left side of the car, I am making a huge shapes which may be a building, and now I am making kind of a tree or a kind of foliage. Okay. Once the shapes are there, let us paint the big shape as a big shape. Okay, we are not worried too much about the details. Let us paint a big shape using a flat brush, and I'm using mainly Naples yellow color here. Okay, Naples yellow and little bit tone variation by adding a touch of Payne's gray. So it is Naples yellow and a touch of Payne's gray to get a tone variation. And let us make a couple of more further buildings here. So these are not very precise. Okay, so these are just some suggestions and I'm just making these as some suggestion. Okay, one big building on the left side and some a couple of further buildings on the right side to the center and the right side. I think this much represents the overall series of buildings. Okay. Now let us add some interest on the building by creating a bright red color awning. Okay, and I haven't made drawing for all these things. So these are just I'm drawing it with the brush itself. Okay, so if you are not very confident, you can draw it first and then paint it. Okay. Now let us think of the foliage on the right side. So I'm using mainly olive green and a touch of burnt sienna and making another big shape. Okay, using the flat brush itself. And you may note that the paper is dry. I haven't made it wet. It is dry paper, and on the dry paper I am applying some green washes, and at the bottom of it, to get some contrast around the cars, I'm using little strong paints gray. Again, I'm trying to manage it with a big flat brush. The flat brush size that I'm using now is 2 inch. If you are not confident of doing it with a big brush, you can use smaller brush, smaller flat brush, or round brush, or whichever is convenient to you. Here, I am only worried about some big shapes and some tonal variations. Okay, so the shadow under the awnings could be a little darker, and I am little precise when it comes to around the car, around the top of the car, splashing some water to create some texture overall. And around the center, I think I have to soften the dark color because it is too dark. So I'm adding a little bit of what you call it as a lavender color sort of thing, and I have softened the center portion of it. And now I am making the ground, which is nothing but burnt sienna and little bit of Payne's gray. Okay, now I'm carefully painting around the cards, and then I'm continuing the wash towards the bottom so that it will look like the ground. So as I'm coming down, I'm adding more paints gray so that it becomes little darker. Okay, it is burnt sienna and paints gray, so that it is darker as it comes down. Now it looks really dark actually. So I'm hoping that when things dry, it will dry lighter, because watercolor, as you know, watercolor dries lighter. Adding more blue, little bit of a blue color to the bottom so that it looks darker to the bottom. So taking it slightly above the blue color and making some kind of a gradation. Okay. So the first wash is primarily done. So I'm enhancing some of these reds. Okay, because that awning I thought I'll make it little strongly red so that it gives some interest, it creates some interest. Let us make something at the center, maybe some kind of a dome or some kind of an interesting building there. And yeah, it is just a sort of a suggestion, and we don't have to worry too much about the details. I have moved to the a smaller round brush, as you might have noticed. Okay, so this is a soft round brush that I'm using. Now that looks okay to me. Maybe a little bit of softening with some kind of a lavender and white sort of a color. So I have mixed little bit of white onto that paints gray and lavender mix that we had, and softened the central building little bit. Now let us add little bit of architectural details to the main building. So I have initially made the line using burnt sienna and little paints gray, and now I am adding little bit of top top level details using uh, what do you call it, is cobalt green and little bit of gray color. Again, this is not precise work. I'm just sort of thinking, I mean, what uh, kind of details it could be, some kind of suggestion. Okay, it should be a little bit convincing, that's all. That's it. Some touches of accents, some elevation details, etc. I think I'm happy with that, and let us continue with some more. Let us make some sort of a shadow tone, little bit of a shadow tone by mixing paints gray, little bit of red, crimson red, and maybe basically it is some warm color like red or orange and little bit of paints gray, uh, and maybe little bit of what you call it as lavender sort of a color, some kind of a uh, shadow color. Okay. So this shadow may be coming from the tree on the right side. Okay, I'm not very sure, but casting some shadows on huge buildings makes it little interesting. And let us soften it as it comes to the left side. Uh, and let us add something on the faraway buildings also so that it is more readable, and some kind of shadow here also so that the building has some kind of a three-dimensional form. It is. I'm suspecting. I'm assuming that it is a curved building. Okay, it is. It is kind of a curved building, and probably you can make it out. So that was my idea. So it looks overall little dark as of now, and I think that when it dries, it will dry lighter. Now let us add some details, shadows, and other tones to the cars. Okay. If you're finding this interesting, if you're finding it helpful, this particular video, please do subscribe and press the bell notification. You may please share this video to your artist friend who can benefit from this video. And if you have any questions or suggestion or comments, please write them into the comment box below. I'll be more than happy to get back to with answers to your questions. And if you have any suggestion to improve my videos, please do let me know. I will try to accept your suggestions as much as possible. Okay, if it is feasible, I will try to accept. Okay. Now these are some details to the car, and if you're not very clear about defining the car this way, I have another video which I have already uploaded a couple of days back on how to paint cars, how to draw and paint simplified cars. It's a two-part video. You may please check it out. Okay. Now let us add some kind of shadows. This is little dark paints gray color. Again, these are just sort of suggestion, and I am focusing more on towards the center of it, where the awnings and the red car meet. That is the area where I want more focus to appear. So I am giving more contrast around this area, the red car and the above red color awnings, and rest every places I'm not worried too much about it. I'm kind of diffusing the left side of the overall painting and the right side. Okay, see, the shadows of the car is very important, so you have to give little bit of contrast there. So the shadows of the car, they kind of hook the car firmly on the ground. Okay, they make the viewers feel that the car is properly connected to the ground. Let us add some details. Because it is a street scene, you will find some electrical poles, electrical posts, and maybe some lamp post, etc. These are some suggestions for that. So the brush that I am using is a soft round brush with a good tip. Okay, so it helps me getting good lines as well as good point for precise details. And it also gives little reasonably good washes also. It's a kind of a versatile brush. So we have added some electrical post and sort of a suggestion of a traffic lamp. And now let us add some more accents to the overall scene. Some dark marks. Okay. These, if you ask me precisely what these particular lines are, I don't know, but this makes it little engaged and interesting. The tail lamps are very interesting part for the cars, particularly if the car is moving away from you. You're seeing the backside, and you will find these orange, red color tail lamps, which will make it interesting. And we can also add a red traffic light glowing, and little bit of touch of orange on the awnings, so that those area gets little brightened. Some play of light happens there. Here I am trying to suggest some figures, so I'm just suggesting the face of some probable figures, and I will add other details later. So yeah, I'm just moving around the brush to decide whether I should touch some uh, orange color somewhere. Now let us give some details to the figures, some clarity to the figures. Here I'm using little bit of a bluish green kind of a color for the figures. Okay, so that they are visible, they are distinguishable. Some of the figures are in shadow, so I'm making them dark. These figures are not very much bright. They don't get noticed that strongly because they are on slightly away from the focal area. So I want they should grab lesser attention, but still I want those figures because it can make the overall painting interesting. Maybe some figures on the right side also. It is not a crowded kind of a street, only few vehicles and lot of uh, people's walking around. Okay, these are, I have made it very dark. Maybe I will give some highlighting touches later. Some shadows. Okay. And these shadows should have some consistency. Okay. The shadows falling on the left side building from the tree, and the shadows of the car, shadows of the figures, and some more shadows on the foreground to create some sense of depth. Now, the moment we added this kind of shadows, we are getting little bit more depth on the overall scene, I think. Some orange touches for the face of the figures. Okay, these are too tiny, and if you are not confident of painting figures, you can check out my playlist called Suggestive Figures, Painting Suggestive Figures, and there are lot many videos there where I have described the process of painting figures. Some more shadows on the red awnings. Okay, and let us add some highlighting touches for the car using thick white color. This is white watercolors taken directly from the tube. Okay, and some highlights for the figures also, a little touch of highlights, and with thick white watercolor directly from the tube. Right, I'm just thinking where I should give some sort of highlights. So whenever I go silent, I am probably thinking. Okay, whenever I go silent, or whenever I just move the brush without making any mark, then I'm actually thinking. So these white lines are kind of there to show the direction of the road, and to also give some sense of depth. Okay, I think overall it looks okay to me. The overall feel of the scene, it looks good. Some accents of darks here and there. Now it's all about giving some finishing touches here and there. Okay, whether you need to uh, strengthen some of these things by giving some accents. Okay, right. Maybe some details for the buildings, maybe some windows for the building. These are some vertical lines, and we should follow the perspective whenever we do this. We should kind of have the perspective in our mind. And as I mentioned at the beginning, my suggestion is that it is a curved, rounded building sort of thing. So you have to paint it accordingly. Some sort of long windows or something. Okay, we don't need too much of details for this. Okay, this is just suggestion. Some few lines respecting the perspective is good enough. This is sort of dry brushworks, not too much of details. Okay, not very precise, but that's okay. That is perfectly fine. See, you may notice that we haven't painted any sky here, but I'm okay. I'm ignoring the sky for now because this is just a practice work, and sky If you want the sky, we could have planned for the sky also. It is not a big thing. Okay. And some cables I have made. You will always find some cables here and there across the street. These figures were not really visible, so I am making a little bit of more highlight now. Okay. Some highlight with pure white. So this is an opaque treatment, this white color application. If you are against using opaque colors, you can ignore this step. Okay, you can leave this particular step, but I find it little interesting. Right, some strong orange touches here and there to make it little interesting at the focal element. Maybe some splashing of darker tones because the tree was looking little flat, so I wanted to engage it little bit. So I am splashing some darker color, dark olive green and Payne's gray kind of mix, and maybe I will add little bit of edge leaves here and there. Again, it is some sort of a beautification touch. If you don't want it, you can avoid this step. I sometimes tend to do this. Sometimes I totally avoid. Little bit of darker touches, darkening the tree, particularly the bottom area of the tree, so that the shadow area of the tree. Okay, so that I would stop at this point because I don't want the tree to be too much fancy, and I will close it by signing it, and then I'll take out the tape. So I hope that you found this video interesting, and if you think this video was informative, you find some value in it, please do subscribe and press the bell notification. If you have any questions or comments, please write them into the comment box below. And above all, please share it to your artist friend who can also benefit from this particular video. Right? These touches are just some lavender white touches to give some highlight. Okay. Now this is the dried version of the painting, so things have gone lighter, and I think this is uh, this is reading well. So thank you very much for watching the video. Uh, I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. And if you have any questions or comments, please write them into the comment boxes. So thank you very much once again, and we will soon see you with another interesting tutorial. Happy painting until then. Bye bye.